Yes,
Ta-da.
we're here. Well, welcome everybody to Monday Night Live
Woohoo! The best night of the week.
with Kate Semmens, Dean Nixon, TurningLeaf Wellness Center, and today is
Red Day.
apparently Red Day.
So last week, if you can remember, we talked about opinions versus facts. So if you want to choose your favorite mascot or your favorite college or your favorite team and just associate it with red, we're going to feel good about it because we're both wearing red.
That's right. And
Just
my
linky.
favorite college is red anyway.
Oh,
so
yes, it is.
there we go.
I don't have one.
But this is definitely not intentional. So there you go. But that was fun when Kate walked in. I'm like, okay,
Red.
today's Red Day.
I actually had someone say to me, your shirt reminds me of Disneyland. So maybe I'm Team Minnie Mouse today.
Minnie Mouse.
Yeah.
That fits. Well, we are excited to get going with you tonight.
Oh, we already have so many of you joining us too.
Yes,
What's up,
thank you everybody
Instagram?
for tuning in. We're excited to get going and talking about tonight's topic.
It's really super cool too because we just finished wrapping up a level 1 seminar over the weekend.
Yep.
Which, a shout out to everybody that just graduated. You guys did awesome. It was so wonderful to hang out with you for those 3 days. Paused due to poor connection.
So Instagram is having a little bit of a problem. So it's all right. So
It's my loner phone.
Kate has a loaner phone. So all of you on Instagram world, we apologize for the delay.
Just hang in there. You're going to use some coping skills tonight.
Yes.
Watching this live.
So
Anyway,
you
back
were
to the
saying-
weekend. And kind of Dean brought up this topic this last time in the level 1 that was amazing. And so we wanted to share it with you guys tonight. And it's that idea of the difference between being uncomfortable and that feeling of anxiety.
Yes. And that was the piece in the seminar I was talking about is about 2 weeks ago, and one of the things I'm grateful to be able to do is coach water polo here in Southern Utah. Big shout out
to water polo.
Yes, in Southern Utah water polo, our team is growing so well here in the St. George area. The thing about it is that I was talking to one of our coaches and she asked me, she said, is there a difference between anxiety and feeling uncomfortable? And she was bringing up a situation where there was a young woman in her life that had been talking to that was feeling uncomfortable about a situation, but she was couching it as being anxiety.
Oh.
And so it caused me to really ponder on that more. And I had told her, I addressed it. I said, yes, there is a difference between being uncomfortable and having anxiety. And it's a very subtle difference. And we have to understand feeling anxiety, or anxiety is the fear of the future. Feeling uncomfortable is a necessary emotion to move us forward. Now that's part that we've got to really understand is feeling uncomfortable is a necessary part of life. We need to feel uncomfortable in order to grow. If we don't feel uncomfortable, then we never progress, because adversity is what pushes us to ask questions. Adversity is what pushes us to seek for answers and to look for things to help us to move out of the discomfort or to move through the discomfort. So we need to be uncomfortable, not that we go out and intentionally create that in our lives.
Right.
But there are natural things that make us uncomfortable. So
Can I cut you off?
please.
So is there also a difference between discomfort and being uncomfortable?
Well, in the sense that discomfort would be maybe more of a physical situation.
Okay.
Yes, so we can have discomfort from physical pain, but being uncomfortable emotionally is different.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm glad you clarified. So we can, that's why you're here, right?
That's right.
To help me make sense. But it is that discomfort. So yes, we can have the discomfort from physical pain, but I'm talking about emotional discomfort or emotional being uncomfortable emotionally, which we're couching as anxiety, because you're never confuse physical pain with anxiety.
Sure.
Does that
Or
make
even
sense?
emotional pain. Physical pain, even with emotional pain.
Right.
You can tell the difference in those two bodies that you have.
Yes. And so it's important for us to understand that and understand that those two are connected. But going back to the discomfort, the emotional discomfort is what moves us forward. Anxiety now, when we get into anxiety, we can be afraid of feeling uncomfortable and we can feel anxious about that. But as parents, when we're working with our children, or even as adults working with a friend or a loved one or a spouse or partner, when our partner's coming to us, or a spouse or a child's coming to us and going, I'm struggling, I'm having so much anxiety about my presentation tomorrow. Well, that's a healthy thing. That's good. That's a good thing. But if we're getting into the issue of I'm having anxiety and I'm not handling things well, I'm having anxiety over people not liking me, or anxiety over not being able to control situations or what people are doing, then that's an unhealthy thing that we can help them work through as well. But we need to see the difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, you guys, I've kind of already talked to Dean about this, and I'm like, I'm going to bring this up. So get ready, here it comes. For me, in my body, I feel a lot of emotions similarly, right?
Yes.
So like the actual reaction that happens, the physical reaction when I have an emotion, I feel it similarly. So like when I am having an emotional discomfort, when I am anxious, even when I am feeling a little bit sad, like it all kind of feels the same.
Yep.
So knowing the difference between the two, I guess maybe what's the value in that? Because if it pushes us forward to growth anyway.
Right. And we're always pushing, as you know, one of the biggest tools that we talk a lot about in our work here at Turning Leaf is to learn to use the discerning voice within us. So I'm always really pushing people to understand that discernment is your heart, how you feel, and your head, what you know to be true, coming together in balance so you can be influenced by your higher power. So in that situation, you're talking about your heart. This is how I feel.
Right.
So that's when the head steps in and goes, okay, let's make a discernment, or let's decide, is this being uncomfortable and you need to push through it and you need to work through it and just do it because it's always hard the first day on your new job, and you're feeling anxiety about your new job, but that's important to feel anxiety. That's what really happens to us as human beings, is it kicks in our senses. It makes us more aware. People don't recognize that being uncomfortable and feeling anxious about a new job actually makes you better when you go in. It heightens your senses. You become more aware. Your IQ is raising because you're more tuned in to the environment and to the things that are going on. So it's a good thing.
Right.
It's a good thing. But then it's also the discerning part of the thinking part, or the head part of us needs to go, okay, well, are you feeling anxiety? Well, I'm feeling anxiety because I don't think people like me. I'm feeling anxiety because I'm going to go there and people are going to laugh at me. And so now these are unrealistic or unnecessary things for us to hang on to.
Right. Okay.
So then the brain goes, or the spouse or friend or loved one steps in and goes, okay, hey, look, let's talk about this. Does it really matter what people think of you? Is it okay for people to laugh? It's fine for people to be laughed at. It's okay for people to laugh at you. I mean, if people are going to mock me and laugh at me, that's okay, because it says more about them than it does me.
Right.
If people are making fun of me because of falling down a flight of stairs, that says more about their personality than my coordination. If people are making fun of me because
that's true.
It does.
Yeah.
If people are making fun of me because of life choices I've made that they don't agree with, that says more about them than it does me. Why am I personalizing that? And so then I kick in with the head part of my discernment that says, no, I need to let that stuff go. I need to tune into what is true about me. So the two things are really important. So number one is, if I'm feeling anxious or anxiety about an event, a new job, or speaking in public, or a math test, that's healthy. It's healthy because
and normal, right? Like, I don't love that word, but like, it's part of being human.
The concern I have, yes, because the concern I have right now, Kate, is everybody's trying to pad everything
Mm-hmm.
and bubble wrap everything because, oh my gosh, if you feel uncomfortable, you might run away, you might hurt yourself, you might
Mm-hmm.
this, you might that. And so in a sense, we're being held hostage emotionally because we don't want people to hurt themselves, or we don't want people to hurt, when in reality we need to help them. Go, look, let's get you help.
Yeah.
Let's get you to somebody that can help you learn how to overcome this. Let's get you to people that can help you cope with what's going on.
Right. Get you
We've
skills.
got to start coping
Mm-hmm.
with this discomfort, with this anxiety, rather than trying to pad it or insulate us from the discomfort.
Yeah, and I like how you brought that thinking, that brain piece into it, because I think too that's a place we can go to decide if we are future tripping,
Mm-hmm.
then our brain can help check us, like, okay, this isn't really happening right now. I'm anxious about this. I'm doomsday prepping is what we do, right? Like we go and we figure out all of the possible scenarios that could potentially happen, and we like prep ourselves for it and like work ourselves all up about it. So if I'm doing that, then that's anxiety.
Yeah.
And if I'm just uncomfortable,
And anxiety in an unhealthy
way, right? If I'm just uncomfortable and having an emotional experience because right now's a little bit difficult and I got to take some deep breaths and I got to have some courage or whatever that looks like, then that's just pushing through discomfort.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And we have to learn to be okay being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our biggest challenge right now. And we were talking a little bit about this in our group tonight, in the family support group tonight. And a shout out for the family support group. If you're in the St. George area and you want to come get some familial support around dealing around anything with your family. But we were talking about this in the sense that we've never lived in a time where there's been a greater lack of privacy. And not just a greater lack of privacy because people can film anything or people can talk about anything, people can make everything public, but people are making themselves public.
Right.
People that's one of the biggest challenges I see with especially young people, but not just young people, is they want the attention. They want, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And then when something happens that goes, is a negative thing, then it's like, oh no, I don't like my life. I don't like the way things are. I feel unhealthy.
Too exposed now.
And too exposed.
Yeah.
And the reality is that we've got to be have a little bit more discretion in social media. And we're trying to figure this balance out. I mean, this stuff is blowing up on us. And with the social media explosion, we're not learning to have discretion.
Mm-hmm.
We're not learning to be discreet about what's going on in our lives. I mean, we don't need to know everything that you're doing or everything that's happening to you or to your, but if you want support, then talk to somebody.
Right.
Talk to another human being. If you want support, come to a support group.
Mm-hmm.
If you want support, come to those places where there are answers. But to put it out on Facebook or to put it out on Instagram looking for support, there's not much people can do through the glass window.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to where help is, that's the key. Is if you want support and you want help, go to where help is. Don't go onto social media because people are just going to look at it, glance over it. They may like it, or they may say, hey, I'm thinking about you, but they can't really help you through the glass window.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it doesn't help to make a call. If you see somebody struggling, make a call. Go talk to them. Grab a human being, eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah.
That's really what we've got to do.
And I have a question here from Noelle, if that's all right. So
yes.
Noelle asks, it's a really good one, by the way. What about anxiety that comes from PTSD?
Now, that's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
There is trauma that happens in our lives, and we have traumatic experiences and traumatic events. Those traumatic experiences and events will kick us into an anxiety at times, and it will kick us into an anxiety response or trauma response. My challenge to people is, again, what I was just talking about, get help.
Yeah.
There are so many amazing therapeutic techniques that are used to help people with PTSD. Also, I do want to clarify, there are people that are just struggling with the PTS part.
Right.
And it hasn't become a disorder. We use the term PTSD too loosely, and I do worry about that.
Same with OCD.
Right.
Right? Like
people use OCD or ADD.
Right. Yes.
But you got to remember the last D is disorder, right? Or deficit. And so the reality is we've got to stop diagnosing and self-diagnosing these. We're overusing it. And in a sense, when we overuse these terms, we do a disservice to the industry. We do a disservice to what's going on. I have clients come in, oh, I have ADD. They don't have ADD. They have anxiety, or they're trying to hang on to things too much. We have people come in, oh, I'm OCD. No, you're not OC. You may be OC, but you're not D. And it's the same thing with PTS. You may have PTS, but you may not have the disordered part of it.
Right.
So, but I would answer, Noelle, is the best thing to do is that, yes, that trauma response, it does come with an anxiety, but that's where the mindfulness tools come in. The best thing we can do for anxiety driven by the trauma response is mindfulness, learning to use meditation, learning to use grounding exercises, but also if there's a therapeutic piece where I need to do some work to uncover it and to release it, then do that work too.
Yeah. I think another piece that comes when we like slap a diagnosis on it, it can either really empower us to go get help, or it can just give us excuses not to do that.
Right.
So the cool thing about PTSD and even PTS or all of those things are, it's like you were saying, just a matter of skills, right?
Yeah.
And working through it and finding what works for you. Another thought I was having when you were mentioning like joining a support group or actually getting in contact with a real, actual physical human.
Yes.
That's going to bring up some anxiety. That's going to bring up some discomfort, right? But that's that healthy one that we can push through and grow.
Yep.
So if you're like, I'm kind of struggling with all these things, but I'm pretty anxious to go into a support group, you probably should.
Well, and I love that too, because when people come to the group, especially the first time, because on Monday night we do the family support group, and then on Wednesday night you do a women's group. And Kate's, it's such an amazing group of women that are coming and showing up.
Shout out to my girls.
Oh, come to it, anybody. And that's the thing. Even if it's just like, hey, I don't have anything, just come and support other women. Because women, this is our year, 2019, TurningLeaf Wellness Center. We're really all about empowering women to use their voice. So come to that group. But when people come to group, it's that first time. Yeah, it's like starting a new job. It's like first day of school. It's always going to be that anxiety. But the cool part is every time they're like, oh, I'm like everybody else.
Yep.
Oh, I'm not alone. Oh, okay. This is, and that's the part. Whenever you push through discomfort, you always wind up feeling better.
And just for information's sake, if you're thinking, oh, maybe one of these support groups could be pretty cool, just come. You don't even have to say a dang thing when you show up first. Like, we're going to love you and support you, and you can just sit in the circle and be supportive for other people. And then as you get more comfortable sharing and doing things like that, then that would be awesome. But don't feel like, oh gosh, I just can't go like air all my dirty laundry in front of people.
And it's free.
Yeah, and they're free. So Noelle followed up and said, your seminars have helped me be more aware of the triggers from PTSD and tools from your lives as well.
And that's what I've appreciated about Noelle, is she does, and you do, Noelle, you are willing to step forward. You are willing to do the work. And that's what we've got to do, is we've got to push through that emotional discomfort. We talk about it in two ways. And before we run out of time here,
we covered up our time.
We did. I don't even know how much time it's been. I'll have to look. But the two tools that I really want to challenge people with is this. In the 4 Steps to Confidence book, we talk about taking healthy risks. And that's how we overcome feeling uncomfortable, is we've got to take that healthy risk to push through the discomfort and to put ourselves in situations we can progress.
How do we know if a risk is healthy or not healthy, Dean?
That's a great question, Kate. What is the answer?
The answer is, if it is a healthy risk, it will help you progress and grow. And if it is not, it will keep you stuck and stifled.
Right. So I always like to use the term perfect answer. It's the results. You
The
know,
results.
based upon the results. And what are my results? And that's important. So if I know going to a group is going to help me, if I know going to get therapy or going to a life coach or going and calling a friend or going and talking or going to the first day in this class or whatever it is going to progress and move me forward, then it's a healthy risk. The other thing for the anxiety piece is we want to work on two pieces. Number one, we want to work on acceptance, which we've talked about.
It's such a good coping skill.
And acceptance is the absence of expectations. So acceptance is the coping skill we use. And then the second coping skill we use mindfulness and meditation tools. And meditation and faith are the two that we use. Those are the two coping skills that we use for anxiety of hanging on to the fear or future, or hanging on to those things that we can't control or that are unnecessarily, hanging on to. So that's what we want to recognize is anxiety is going to be hanging on to the future fear of what people think, fear of, etc. Discomfort or being uncomfortable is things that, I got to do this, but it's uncomfortable. And I don't necessarily, I don't want to talk in public. I don't want to go there because I feel awkward or I feel, well, you need to go anyway because it's going to help you grow as a person.
I just thought of like when you're little and you're like, eat your vegetables because it's going to be good for you. Do it anyway because it's going to be good for you.
Well, we are way past time. Doggone, I just uncovered our time. So thank you all for tuning in.
Yes.
Hopefully you found some pieces that will help move you forward. If you do like what you're seeing, please like and share these videos. You can find us on YouTube at Turning Leaf Wellness Center.
Yep.
You can find us on our Turning Leaf Wellness Center page on
Facebook,
on the
Instagram,
World Wide Web.
And our website.
Yes. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next
Monday Night Live. I was going to wave and thumbs up, but I screwed up Monday Night Live. So we love you guys. Have a great week.
And
nice. Just kidding.
Oh, it's still going.